Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's training. I'm super excited to have you on here. We are going to be doing a training on your soul gifts and working with activating those and talking a little bit about the relationship between your soul gifts and also your gifts here and understanding what your human gifts are versus your superhuman gifts. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday for the third eye activation training, and that was really, really fun. So for those of you who are just joining me, come on in and say hello. And I'll give everybody a couple of minutes just to get acquainted, say hi, and feel free to share where you're coming from tonight. And also give me a thumbs up or type in that you can see and hear me okay and that everything is clear. So I want to make sure that I can serve you to the best of my ability with technology. So it looks like people are coming on. Hello, welcome. Very, very cool. So this has been a really fun couple of weeks of doing all these different trainings for people. And if you've been enjoying them, feel free to give me a thumbs up or heart or even say, yes, you have been enjoying them or they have been supporting you in some way. Because that way I know that this work is going somewhere and that it is, touching your heart and it's resonating with you. So I've been doing these trainings as a gift for you, and it is really just a joy for me to be able to share my knowledge and share all of the things that I've learned over the last 7 years, being an intuitive, being a writer, being a medium, and all of that has really been a part of my journey thus far and continues to grow and expand. As I grow and expand, I just add more to what I get to offer to people. And so it's truly an honor for me because I always get so many amazing emails after from people who share just how this work has touched their heart, or they've been healing or clearing stuff or discovering how relationships in their lives have been holding them back. And just today I got an email from a student who said that she finally discovered that a couple of her family members were holding her back or attached to her energetically. And it's been so amazing to see her growth, because when she first started working with me, she had a really hard time connecting to her spiritual gifts and a hard time connecting to spirit, and her mind was just so active and so conflicting with what she was receiving. And so as we develop and as she's been taking the trainings, she's just really expanding, and it's so neat. It's really neat to see that we have that opportunity to be each other's guides, even if it's for a webinar once, or if it's for a 9-month training, or it's for the rest of your life. You get to be a gift to someone in a way, right? And so that's just part of my journey here, is to be able to share my gifts, because, at the end of the day, I'm going to go into another life. I'll be in another dimension, and what I'll get to leave behind is this work. And so with that being said, I know that there will be something that will continue to grow, right? That's what we're here for, is to let our legacies live on in spirit and through intuition, because we are all really consciousness at the end of the day. So tonight is all about soul gifts activation. So yesterday we did the clairvoyance gift. We talked a lot about clairvoyance, and then we did a really, really neat exercise to activate that gift for you. And so if you were on last night, type in yes. And also share with me if you've seen some interesting progression in that training with yourself after, or if you've seen your vision of life get a little bit clearer, or you're starting to see things for what they are, or you're having deeper visions or maybe intuitive impressions through your clairvoyance ability. So if you are, feel free to say yes, type in your feedback. So feedback really makes the training exciting, especially on webinars, because we're not in a live classroom. So I can't just pick your hand if you raise it, right? And so it just gives me the opportunity to be able to connect with you, and you connect with me, and also connect with each other, because there are people from all over the world who are on these trainings and who watch them. As we can see, we have people from Colorado, Northern California, South Carolina, Michigan. Like, how awesome is that, right? Canada, and people from California, Wisconsin. So lots of really cool stuff, in a lot of really cool different places in the world. And even people who watch the replays are from all over the world. So we get to really connect as a family, you know, spiritual family. So, all right, so let's get started. So somebody asked a really good question just now on how do we know what gifts we have? So we're going to go talk a little bit about that. So how do we know what gifts we have, right? So first of all, you want to take a look at your gifts in your life. So we're going to start with the timeline of your life. So if you have a pen and a paper, go ahead and type in yes. Get yourself a pen and a paper. And for the purpose of this training, I don't know why I feel drawn to tell you this, but tell your ego to sit on the sideline, right? So I don't know, that just came up right now. So wherever your ego is in this relationship to your work, to your spiritual development, tell it to have a seat. Pretty simple, right? Just say, thank you so much for being here, but you're not invited to my party. So really, truly, the ego is going to get in the way of your relationship to your own gifts. So the ego is sometimes that part of you that thinks you're better than something, or holds you to be only an expert in one thing, or that you're only good at this, or you're good at nothing, or that you need to spend years and years and years of time in a particular area of study for you to be gifted at it or be an expert at it. That you need a credential for you to be able to teach this work, or you need a license or certification, or somebody to tell you that you are gifted, or somebody to tell you that you're good at math, right? I'm just saying in general. We're talking about in general right now. So when we talk about gifts, we're not just talking about the spiritual gifts, right? We're talking about our gifts as a whole. So let's take a whole look at the pie of who you are, the picture and the masterpiece that makes you you. So the ego is going to be that thought in your head of like, oh, well, I just got this really awesome invitation to this event, and like maybe I'm not expert enough to be there, or maybe I need to do this first before I can do that. So tell me some of your limiting conversations that your ego tells you, right? So tell me a little bit about some of these ego conversations with your gifts. So we're going to go into the timeline in a second, but I want you to go ahead and just type in and be honest with yourself and be vulnerable here, because vulnerability is a gift. So vulnerability is a gift because it allows us to be able to be seen for who we are. It allows us to be transparent in our flaws and our greatness. And so that's what makes you your greatness, is being in your flaws and being able to express from a vulnerable place these struggles of your life. So I invite you to be vulnerable for a second and get honest with yourself and get honest with each other, and share with me a potential limiting story or belief that your ego has said to you about your own gifts. So think of a gift that you know you have, or you think you might have, and then tell me what your ego tells you about it. So some of these conversations could be, let's say that you're developing your spiritual gifts, and as you're doing that, you start to compare yourself to somebody else. So let's say there's another spiritual teacher or a peer of yours that you're in a class with. This happens actually in life, right? We go to college, we go to school, and we start to compare ourselves to the student next to us, or to the coworker next to us, or that we're only going to make a certain amount of money every year because of the field that we're in, or that we have to settle for this type of love because that's what we've said, that's what our brain has told us that we're deserving of. And so your ego is going to have some limiting conversations with you on your limitations in life, whether it's your career or your spiritual gifts. So when we look at the soul gifts, one of the conversations that I've heard from a lot of students is, what if I'm wrong? What if I get it wrong? Right? So what if I get it wrong? Or what if I look stupid? Okay. So what if I get it wrong? What if I look stupid? What do I, okay, the other one is charging. So can I charge what I'm worth? Am I good enough to charge what I'm worth? Right. So someone's sharing here, my gift of artistic talent, my ego tells me that I am not good enough, and it's a continual battle. Yes. Yes. So when you were born in this life, you didn't have these conversations in your brain when you were born. So the not good enough, looking stupid, having to look perfect, only settling for second best, having to compromise your needs all the time, compromise your voice, compromise what you want. Right. So where do you draw the line with what is healthy for you and what's really getting in the way of you being able to connect to your gifts and share your gifts without fear or without that conversation always being present in your mind that stops you? So you get to create artistic work, but then you never show it to the world. You know that you have a gift to intuitively help people, but then you never actually do anything with it. You know that you have this amazing ability to make a fantastically phenomenal meal, but yet you stop yourself from sharing it with even intimate friends and family, or it only goes beyond the intimate friends and family. It never goes any further. Or there's a fear of asking your boss for a raise because you don't think that you're good enough, or you need to sacrifice a little bit more time to show that you're eligible and that you put in the work. So you can't ask for one until you do more work. So we always have this concept that we have to do more for us to be willing to receive or to be worthy of, or that when we do receive, we have to give right back. And sometimes giving is in the receiving. So as you receive, you're also giving because you're allowing that person the opportunity to have that feeling of giving to you. So just some really interesting stuff to think about, right? So some people are sharing, I'm not powerful enough. My gifts are weak. Okay, so looking at the strengths and weaknesses, then we have the self-doubt conversation. That's another one. My gift can't be achieved unless I'm eating perfectly, unless I'm practicing my instrument enough, unless I'm out of my house and not disrupted. I was told by a good friend to write down my fears, which I didn't realize was so important, and to acknowledge them and release them. Yes, so this is a perfect example. Thank you so much to the person who shared this with me. So isn't it interesting that we have a certain concept that we have to be polished and refined and really, really good before we can actually be an expert, or we can be strong enough, or we can be powerful enough. And then even when we've invested 20 years of our life into this one particular passion or interest or gift, we still don't think that we're good enough. We still think that we need to have the circumstances to be perfect for us to be doing it professionally. We still need to change our environment for us to be doing anything. So it's constantly based on a circumstance or a mindset. So we notice here that the ego's conversations will be either circumstantial, in which something will get in the way. There will be always something in the environment that's going to get in the way of you doing it. This isn't to be confused with perhaps timing or creating a new opportunity in which you can channel the energy in a different way. So let's hold on to that for a second. The other one is mindset. So the story that you're telling yourself, or that your brain has been telling you, and that's kept you under a certain rock or kept you at a certain level in life. And then when it's time, when we're challenged, our insecurities come up, and we either will go towards it or we'll take 5 steps back. Does anyone recognize that? So when we're challenged to go through that belief and change it, we'll either go towards it and change it and come out from the other side of the tunnel, or we're going to take 5 steps back and just stay sitting in fear, not doing anything. If that resonates with you, give me a thumbs up or yes. And that way I know that this is connecting with you. So as we're working with our gifts spiritually, this also resonates with your gifts in life. So understand that the ego's conversations will usually be sourced through circumstance, and where we'll like, oh my God, well, this is the reason why I can't do it right now. And this is the other reason. And this is another reason. And so you'll have a whole list of reasons. And so that's one of the things. And then the other one is your mindset. So it's going to be a belief system. So belief that you're not good enough, that you have to be perfect, that you don't have enough confidence, that you're not sexy enough, that you don't speak well, that you don't have good grammar, or that you don't have you're not a good writer, or whatever, right? This could be about a book that you want to write. This could be about applying to be a Huffington Post contributor. This could be about you wanting to be on a radio show one day and you're nervous about the way that you talk. This could be about you wanting to teach one day, or potentially guide a meditation, or even just do a seminar in your job, or be a leader in your work career, or be a leader in your family, or just giving yourself a voice. So how many of you have held back on expressing your voice? So tonight that gets to change, because these things are getting in the way of your greatness. These things are getting in the way of your spiritual journey, and these things are getting in the way and clogging up your intuition. They're also getting in the way of you attracting and opening your heart to new opportunity for growth, for expansion, for higher consciousness, and for everything, right? Because this is really where the fountain of like life is. This is the source of it, and it's the opportunity for you is to go towards it or to walk away from it. And so many times we just sit there and look at it without actually tapping into it. So just reading some comments here. Someone says, I can relate to this totally. Our lizard brain. I don't just have a monkey mind. I have the whole circuits. So very good. It's a good humor. So someone else says that this makes perfect sense. I'm trying to develop my spiritual gifts, and my ego tells me to forget about it because you have to be special to do it. Yes, another story. You have to be special. Someone has to like don a wand on you, and then you will be special enough to do this work. Yes. So find the Wizard of Oz, who will put their magic wand on you, and you will be able to be good enough to practice spiritual development and practice your soul gifts. Right. Dude, that sounds so ridiculous. Like whenever I've said these things to myself, so I know it. Like I just know it like the back of my head. Okay. My issue is that if I follow my intuition to pursue new modalities, my ego tells me that I have so many things going on already. So why should I add more? Is it necessary to pursue more? It makes me feel like I'm trying too much, and that might weaken what is already established, and that I feel badly in not following the promptings. Okay. So let's address some of these conversations, right? Because when we do the exercise, you want to be aware of these conversations, because these conversations, while they are going to be there in your back seat always as you're driving this car, you're not always going to be talking to them. They're not always going to have a say in what you get to do as the driver, right? Because you don't have a backseat driver. You just have a passenger. So they're just along for the ride. They might be along with you in the destination, but they're not driving the car, so they don't have a choice in what you get to do. See how powerful that is for you? Once you take a step back and you define that this is your journey, you're the driver of the car, it changes the whole energy of the relationship to the conversations. So first thing is, if you're already taking like several courses at once, as some people have shared with me, can you add another to your plate? So let's take a look at that for a second. what is it about the courses that you're doing right now that are not working for you to want to take another one? Could it be that, or could it be that you have so much interest in it that you want to soak it all up in your brain? So again, taking a look at, well, what is it here that I can move my attention to something else? Because I'll tell you that there have been courses I've taken, modalities that I've tried, and some of them just didn't work for me. And I knew right away, I was like, this isn't working for me. So what? You know, I invested the money in it because I was interested. I was curious about it. And then it came to be that it just wasn't what I was looking for, actually. And that's okay too, right? Because it's kind of like going to a restaurant. It's always going to be a risk of whether or not the food is actually for you. But you'll know for next time that that's for you, and that, you know, the other restaurant, not for you. That type of food for you, this other type of food, not for you. Same thing. So understand that also what is really amazing is that as you step up as a leader, you're going to find that you will gravitate towards what you really are curious and passionate about. And so what's happening is that you're stretching beyond your comfort zone so that you can be able to deliver and receive more. So we think our comfort zone looks like this. We think we can only handle this much, but actually we're infinitely powerful beyond measure. And so you'll notice that as you step and gravitate more towards your greatness, you're going to like attract things that will be there to elevate you to the next level of your life, because you're honoring your gifts so much so that the universe is responding back to you. And that's what happens. You know, you're going to get people who will want to work with you, people who are potentially going to tell you about a new opportunity of study. You know, you may follow some people who inspire you and you see yourself in them. And so that's potential for you as a leader to learn how you can show up that way, or ways that work for you, right? So also learning as to what it is that's truly sitting well with you, with your gifts, and going towards that. And then as you're in the experiential phase, that's what I like to call it, or exploration phase, you may very well go and follow all kinds of things. And then you'll come back to one or two that really sit well with you. And then you might do some of the other things later. They might be like a small part of, like, they're like the side part of your main entree, right? So just notice that there isn't anything that you can't do. It's that you may be getting stretched beyond what you're used to, because there's greatness for you in stretching beyond what you're used to. So this is related to like everything that we do in life. So when we work out, when we exercise, when we try something different, we're stretching beyond our knowledge, and we're noticing what else are we capable of creating in our lives. Is this making sense? Any questions so far? Guided here for sure. People are sharing that they're connecting with each other. Okay, so another thing that's a story people say is, I'm not powerful enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. What makes you enough, right? So notice that, what do people come to you about? Do they come to you to listen to them? Do they come to you because you offer great guidance? Are you a great compassionate speaker? Are you a great friend? Can you hold them high? Can you call them out on their stuff? What is it that people are drawn to you for? Noticing that. So what do you offer in your relationships with humans? Is it that you're a great cook and you bring people together, and I love how I've been using food references today. I swear I'm not hungry, but I'm just like using all these food references. So maybe this group who's watching will relate to that a lot. But so what I'm saying here is that you will discover that you'll attract people based on what you're offering. So it might start off in one way, like one gift, and then it's going to like kind of like metamorphosize into many other things. So I want to go into the next part of this training here, and that is, yes, the ego distraction story of expectation. Absolutely right. So interesting how it all relates. Like, it's always going to be related. It's always interconnected, always. So as we serve spirit, we're going to see ourselves and our insecurities. And we'll see our insecurities in another part. So not being good enough to serve spirit, I'm not good enough to have the love of my life come into my life. Everything. One conversation will be a mirror for another conversation or another problem. And so as you work on this story, your gifts start to like unfold and blossom. Okay? Because if you're not shining light on it, how can they blossom? You're just keeping it in the dark. So that's the beauty of all of this, is that as you go diving deep into yourself, all of your gifts start to breathe, and then everything starts to come out, and then little by little things start to fall away as you do more of what makes you happy and what brings you joy, and you honor yourself and your gifts, and you stretch beyond your limitations. You'll start to see that you're actually quite much more powerful than you thought you were. So these are all just stories that sit in our minds and take up space. They're like baggage that you don't exactly need anymore, because it's getting in the way of what you came here to do, of what your greatness is, of what your gifts are, of how you can serve yourself and how you can serve people. Because I guarantee you, you didn't come in this life with these conversations already pre-downloaded into your head. So it's like getting a computer, turning it on for the first time, and then there's a bunch of stuff already on it. Already. Like, no. So you have to download the programs for certain things to work on the computer. Same thing. You got to download certain programs, and then boom, look at how you're operating. So that's just part of this work. Some of this sounds a bit psychological, but mindset is actually really powerful with any type of spiritual work. So trust and understand that your mindset and your relationship to your stories are also going to be super important to your relationship to your gifts. So your human gifts and your superhuman gifts. Okay, so the next part, if you have your pen and paper, I want you to really quickly make like 3 or 4 columns. So the first column is going to be childhood. Okay, so first column, childhood. Second column, going to be like the preteen years. So that would be like maybe 10 to 13, right? Then we have the teen years. So 15 to 18 or 13 to 18, whatever. Then we have college and adult. You can kind of put them in one, or actually break it up. Have a college years if you went to college. If you don't, it's fine. You can do just sort of think of college as a symbol for like those years, like the 20s to 30s or young adult years. So we'll just put young adult years for now. And then the next part is adult, because I know that we have people from all different ages on these trainings. So what I would suggest to you is getting a piece of paper and making 5 columns. Okay, so I'm just going to show you here. I'm going to pull this up for you. All right, so if you can see this, I don't know if you can, but so there's kind of like 5 columns here. This is a small piece of paper. So for the first column, you're going to put childhood, then preteen, then teen, then young adult, and then adult. Okay? All right. So I want you to really quickly just let go of all your stories now that you know what these stories are. So thank you so much for being here. You have kept me safe for a bit of time, but it's time for me to go exploring. So I want you to take a long, deep breath in, exhale out, and imagine that all those stories have been collected into a balloon. You think a balloon is super big, or maybe it's small, whatever. Maybe it's several balloons. Okay, so then imagining that you're just letting that balloon go up into the sky. And you could do this with your eyes closed or open, it doesn't matter. We're just doing a quick clearing exercise so that we can actually do this training. So imagining that you've collected all your stories, all of your limiting beliefs, your ego conversations. And then that they're either placed in several balloons or one whole big balloon, and that's what you've been carrying around all this time. So just imagine that you're somewhere in a field or wherever. It doesn't matter. What feels good to you. And then as you're out there with this balloon or several balloons, you breathe in and you just begin to let them go, whether it's several or one, and just feel the energy leave your body as you do that. Perfect. So now you've just let go, you've acknowledged them, and now for a while, for a period of time, you've let them be free in the universe. All right. So take a long, deep breath in. And just feel a shift in your body if you do feel one. Is there an area that feels a little bit lighter than when we started? And if you feel the same, that's okay too. It's just an actual simple clearing technique. So once you have done that, now I would like for you to go ahead back to your paper. Okay, so go back to your paper and I want you to start from the beginning of your story of your life and call in your higher self with your pen. You're going to invite your higher self to join you right now and ask your higher self to begin to show you intuitively, or even your own mind, the wise mind of you, to show you the gifts that you had growing up in each section of your life. So as I work with my higher self, I see an image of me typing at a typewriter. That's a memory that I'm being shown. So there is a typewriter in front of me that my babysitter had. And this was something I loved to do. I looked forward to going to my babysitter's house because I could type on her typewriter. True story. So that's one of the things that I'm seeing is a memory of something I really enjoyed doing as a kid. Another one was playing in the park. So being outside, being in nature. So you might have these experiences visually. You might hear. Just notice too how this is coming up for you. So noticing if you're hearing it, you're seeing it, you're smelling it. Okay, so I'll give you a second to write down some things that you are noticing in your childhood years, in the childhood column. So some gifts that begin to appear. And we're going to break this down a little bit. So even if they're not specific gifts, but you just see things or experience a memory or a conversation, that's okay too. Okay. And so I just saw another a fairy. So that also shows up in my childhood as a symbol. So if you're lost at all, let me know. I'm happy to explain this further to you. Perfect. Okay. So let's move to the next one, to the next column. So we're going now into the preteen years of your life. I want you to just stay here for a second and close your eyes and just allow your imagination to guide you to these years of your life. And sometimes we'll experience emotion in this exercise. If this was a very emotional time in your life, or some trauma happened, or something really hard or challenging happened in school, this might also come up for you as clearing. So begin to notice where your imagination and your higher self take you with memories or events that brought life to you, that made you feel joyful. And so for me, I'm seeing Okay. I'm seeing art class. Journaling. And collage. I also see the royal blue color. And I hear laughter. Okay. So I'll give you a second to wrap up that part. Remember, your higher self is with you this whole time. So this is your wise self, the one who's kind of an omniscient you. All right, so let's move to the next section. And if you're noticing emotion come up for you, feel free to type that in, or give me a thumbs up, or feel free to share as we go through this. You're not going to lose your connection to the intuitive part of this exercise. So just know that. Sometimes people think that we need to have our eyes closed for us to experience our intuition, and that's not true. So just stay in your process, and if your mind wants to go wandering, bring it back to your heart center. Bring it back to your breath. Take in a deep breath. Ground, and remembering that you have your higher self with you. So bring forward what your higher self feels or looks like. Even if you don't know and you just have your imagination there, allow your imagination to guide you. All right, so we're moving now into the teen years of your life. And I want you to go ahead now and start to let your imagination guide you to some experiences, feelings, thoughts, memories that brought you joy. Or perhaps this is when you started having a vision of what you wanted to be when you grew up. How did you relate to the people around you? Notice if there were people who inspired you at this age, things that inspired you. Was there an error that you enjoyed the most? A time error? Was there a particular type of music? Was there an activity? Now, I also want you to begin to become observant of what is your mind showing you in these experiences. And just keep your awareness of that as well. We're going to come back to this whole thing in a second. Okay, so now we're going to move into the next part. I want you to go into your young adult years. That's okay. If you're not remembering things that brought you joy in your preteens, then notice what experiences or what feelings you're having in this particular section of your life. Notice if there's some emotion, if there's a memory that's showing up for you, because we're going to really work through this. This is where we start to break down the past with your gifts and who you are today. So notice where there's a stop in joy or happiness for you? So if it stopped in your preteens, what was happening in your life around that time frame? Was there someone around that started telling you things that made you not feel good about yourself? Was there a situation that suppressed your happiness or joy? Okay. I want you to move into your young adult years. And so now you're starting to move into adulthood. And where's your higher self taking you now? And it may not necessarily be an event or a memory, but also notice, where was your mind? What did you daydream about? What would you envision for yourself? What kind of people did you attract? Okay. Now let's move into the final column. Yeah, it's okay. So just know that we're holding that space for you, because some of this work is going to be super deep. So if it's hard for you, breathe, surrender, and also know that we're here holding that space for you. So you have us here. One section is harder because I know that it will be. I want you to just know that there is a sacred space for you, a sacred container of love for you right now. Okay. So sometimes we revisit the past many times, and it brings up a lot of different emotions many times. One particular area of our life might bring up more emotion than another area. And so what's the beautiful part is being in a training is that we get to be a witness for each other and love each other through it. So we can do that alone, and sometimes it becomes depression. And then we have also communities where we can hold each other safely as we go through those emotions and know that it's okay to feel them too. And so now I want you to move into the final part of this exercise, and that is your adult. So breathe out whatever is getting kicked up. Know that this is kind of a releasing exercise too. So breathing out whatever is getting kicked up. It's part of your journey. It's part of the story that makes you the magnificent human that you are. And so we're just to honor you in this process. And then I want you to finally surrender and move into the final part. And so that is your adult years, whatever age that feels to you. And where is your time going now? And let your higher self guide you to where is your time going mentally and spiritually. What is bringing you joy now at this point in your life? What piques your curiosity? Where do you daydream? What do you envision for yourself? So give you a second to write that down. Okay. So take a second to finalize your thoughts on every section, and feel free to revisit one of the sections that you feel like you may have not been able to tap into a lot, or you had a little trouble, or ask your higher self to guide you into tapping into an overarching message for that particular column or section. Okay, so ask your higher self if there is an area that you're struggling with, were there some gifts here that I wasn't seeing? Are there some gifts in this experience or this time in my life that I wasn't seeing, or that I'm not seeing right now? Okay. So I'll give you a second to do that. I'm going to put out my... Okay. Okay. So now take a look at your 5 columns and look at every section, and then share with me, if you want, what are some of the overarching themes in each part of your life? What brought you joy? What were some memories that popped up? What was something that excited you or that your imagination would go to? What would you daydream about? What were the people that you were surrounding yourself with? What did you like to do the most? And notice if it evolves into something else or a different passion. Notice when it stops completely. So actually, that's something I missed. So yeah, I missed something really important here. Okay, so noticing too where one passion stops. Does it stop for good? Does it stop because of a conversation that was had? Does it stop because of an event that transpired? What gets reignited? What comes back into your awareness? So feel free to share in the comments if you're watching what you experienced in this exercise, and then we're going to do a activation into all of this so that it all just gets to be kind of glued together, so that they're not fragments anymore, but everything that becomes part of the same picture and masterpiece. So I'll give you a second to write that in. And so I can tell you for myself that as I did this exercise, I noticed that I loved writing even as a kid. In my teen years, I was still very creative and artistic. And I had a thing for magic as a child. So with fairies and spirit, that was something that I loved. And then as a teen, I wanted to study psychology. I wanted to help people. And that's when my conversations with friends shifted into very deep and intimate conversations. I was very much a free spirit and a bit of a hippie. And so that energy resonated with me. And then in my young adult years, I studied psychology, and I entered my very deep meditation. I started playing more with meditation. I started studying self-help, studying spirituality. And then in my adult years now, it's kind of come full circle because I'm coming back to my creative side in terms of writing and art, and also exploring spiritual development through yoga and breath work, and also healing myself and other facets, emotional intelligence training. So there was a lot of creativity, writing, and a connection to some type of spiritual consciousness in some facet for my life. And it's played out through all of my years to today. So how does this tie into your soul gifts? What does this really mean for you? So when we take a look at what brought us joy, it's also a relationship to what have we been neglecting in terms of our own development today and our journeys today, and how can we start to bring that back to life? So having a great imagination and being outside, if that was something that worked for you, are you allowing yourself to have that today? Are you giving it permission to have a voice, to be free? And then also noticing, when was the conversations that limited you? When did those start, where you weren't good enough? Was there something that transpired in a certain set of years that shut down your gifts, or shut down your imagination, or shut down your curiosity, or your confidence, or your willingness to speak up? And noticing that, because that no longer gets to be a part of you in a way that disempowers you. So it gets to be an experience that you channel so that it can empower you to be free, to be confident, to feel worthy, to feel that you are good perfectly as you are, and trust that that is okay. So people in the webinar, if you want to share, feel free to right now. Hello, welcome. Okay, so I have people here sharing kindness and music, stories, helping, magic, joy, observation. Awesome. Lots of powerful gifts in that. We have animals, music, nature, dancing, connection to a specific ancestry. My soul gifts started as a child. None of them completely went away, but certain hard times shut them down quite a bit because I shut down. Yes. Yeah. So notice too the relationship here between the circumstances in our lives then as growing up to now. So now our circumstances have shifted, and there's an opportunity for you to start letting those gifts blossom and breathe. And sometimes it's hard because in the grieving process, we stay in these places a little bit more because there's a familiarity, or there's just, it's time. Like you have to grieve those feelings, and then those feelings change to something else, and then those feelings change to something else. So notice. Someone else has shared, yes, that others around me had absolutely no interest in the things I held important. Wow. That is really a powerful realization. And noticing how when we have these feelings and these gifts and these interests and these passions, that we carry this with us, like in our DNA. We carry this in our body. And so it becomes still a story in our minds that nobody cares about what I have to say. Nobody cares about the things that are interesting to me. Nobody cares, about me. And so that's a story that might be playing in our minds. Someone else is sharing they had a connection to art and nature, animals, spirituality, and guiding people. So I'm seeing a bit of a theme here, that with light workers, as we can see, a lot of us have this connection to nature, to creativity, to spirit, to guiding people, to animals. So you're actually not alone at all. As we connect on this training, we can see that a lot of us have very kind of sensitive souls. And in our sensitivity, it manifested through freeing environments, freeing places, freeing experiences, because animals are free in their own way. Being connected to spirituality is a very freeing and liberating feeling. Guiding people is a way to be of service and to also know that we have purpose by sharing our gifts with others so that they have purpose. Creativity is a way of self-expression in the voice. So being able to express yourself through creativity because you weren't able to verbally speaking, perhaps. And nature is another way of feeling connected and safe when potentially there were times in your life when you didn't feel connected or safe. Feeling understood by something or someone else when the environment that you were in didn't understand you. someone is sharing, and so now I'm working in a chosen profession with music, and I'm so in love with helping others and channeling spirit, music, and meditation. And I'm surrounded with classical musicians that don't really have a connection to what I hold dear. This is nutty. Thank you. Yeah, so we can also see how we recreate these environments in our lives subconsciously to sort of continue to feed that story that people don't care about what we want or what we hold as important to us. And so it becomes a challenge for you to then take a look at your environment and notice, well, how can I inspire these people? If I choose to stay in this environment, can I inspire them by being my complete, authentic soul self with all my gifts and sharing those gifts in the ways that I choose to, potentially may have an impact on my environment as a whole. Or you might just actually step out of it because it will no longer serve that subconscious limiting belief. In my younger years as a teen and young adult, I was mostly happy and loved the outdoors, loved being around my friends, loved going out dancing, listening to free music. And so now I love animals, and even more so now. Yeah, so it's really insightful. This exercise can show you a lot about yourself underneath, show you what you're creating still, and then also show you what are some themes of your life. And so now someone's sharing, I'm an empath and just learning to live with it and accept it. Yes. So live with it and accept it. It's also about learning how to have healthy boundaries with your gifts and with the world. So boundaries. All right. So what I'd like to do is a short exercise on you activating your soul gifts and kind of clearing this out, because we've already done a lot of clearing. So now it's about activation. So now you have a full relationship to some of the things that brought you joy, so how some of that's playing out in your life now. Also some of the limiting stories and beliefs that are coming up for you, where also there is some grief, perhaps some anger, or noticing when you shut down and what's coming back to life. And so what we're going to do is now start to give yourself permission to be free in who you are today. So I'd like for you to go ahead and just close your eyes and get comfortable wherever you are. Okay. So get comfortable, close your eyes, and then we're going to start. Okay. So calling in all of the stories, all of your limiting beliefs, I want you to see them in front of you. Notice that they manifest in their own shape and form. Calling in the times of your life as you look back that had an impact on your journey today, had an impact on the way that you live, had an impact on the way you see yourself, or the way that you see life. And also had an impact on how you see other people. So notice where there may be anger or sadness. And let those emotions be what they are. If you feel this urge to push them away, just hold them like you would that part of you, that little child in you, if you were upset or hurt. Because you, just like anyone, deserves your love and attention. So give voice to all of these stories that have held space in your mind and in your heart. And in some way, they have been a part of your survival. In some way, they have kept you safe and have been your security blanket. But like old clothes in a closet that you no longer wear, or maybe are too big or too small, the truth of the matter is that you've outgrown them. And so now I want you to call forward all of the times that you felt joy, that you felt the magic of your soul come alive. To a time when you never doubted yourself. You never doubted how great you were. And that you never doubted that you were special. And that you just being you was a gift to the world. And begin to imagine that at the core of your heart, your heartbeat, the source of you, are also all the gifts that you pushed away. That you chose to hide because you thought it wasn't safe. And like the birds that sing a new song every morning, imagine that you breathe a new song into the core of your heart, and you begin to awaken all of the gifts that have been put away. And imagine that you feel that energy vibrate as you hear this new song. It begins to move through you, starting at your core, the source of your intuition. And moving up to your heart, expanding and opening what's closed, giving you permission to be free. And then moving up to your throat, and feeling that song move in your throat center, awakening your truth, awakening your voice, and however it chooses to express itself powerfully, knowing that you are always enough. And then moving into your third eye, your source for vision. making way for a new vision to come to life. And so you can feel yourself begin to emerge from perhaps a state of sleep that you've been in. Allowing yourself to connect to all of your gifts and know that you have magic in each of them. And then moving into your crown chakra at the top of your head. And imagine that there is a lotus here. And that as that song travels to the crown chakra, that lotus also comes to life. And so you feel the energy opening you to divine wisdom that falls down like grace from the universe. Divine wisdom that will manifest as your gifts and however they choose to come to life, guiding you with your intuition, bringing a renewed sense of faith and trust, remembering that you are always good enough. And so breathing in that magic, and feeling the sense of liberation. And repeating the mantra in your mind and letting it be a tattoo on your heart. I am free to be me. I am free to be me. Acknowledging all of the gifts that are singing their song to you right now. And feeling that love and that vibration as it lifts you up. And it lifts you into who you really are. The soul that you came into this earth as. And you can feel the energy shifting as there's this wave that comes in, this buoyancy and bounciness. As you've just surrendered and given yourself permission to be you. And so I want you to breathe in a purple light and imagine that this light is a direct line to your universal, unlimited source of spiritual gifts, soul gifts, human gifts, and also to yourself. That you are the fountain of unlimited possibility, that you have so much to give to this world, and that you have so much to give to yourself. And so breathe in that violet energy of light. Imagine that it surrounds you like a robe that you've been initiated into and reawakened to the truth of who you are. And so breathing in gratitude, exhaling out grace, breathing in gratitude, and exhaling grace. Now surrendering and coming back into the room of where you are, coming back into the core of your being. Knowing that you have access to your gifts in any way you so choose to. And when you're ready, you can just begin to ground into the floor with your feet, massage the floor with your feet, and move your head side to side and begin to open your eyes. And then when you're ready, just bring your hands to your heart, and I want you to just for a second bow down and acknowledge yourself for doing this work tonight. Acknowledge yourself for going through some difficult moments in your timeline and seeing how you transformed, how you persevered, how you rose up like the phoenix from the ash. And honor yourself and honor this moment. Okay. And when you're ready, you can just open your eyes and come back to the room. So for those of you that are watching, thank you for being on here. Feel free to share with me what happened for you, what came up for you. What was this experience like? Was there anything that you felt like differently? Was there a shift that happened? Did you notice some emotion come up for you? And what was that emotion saying? And what were you giving voice to? What were you allowing to just be free and be held with love and tenderness? And so I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll give you a second to feel free to share. So I'm seeing people are saying that was incredible. Thank you so much. Really cool. Really awesome. I'm looking at the webinar here. Thank you. That was great. I love writing stories. My stories are ghost stories where they're based on something real in my life and then turned into an imaginative story where the ghosts are helpful in doing something. Oh, that's really cool. I love that. That's really neat. Very creative way to channel. Emotions and then peace. I love how you know exactly and easily what to say during your meditation. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts and time. Oh, thank you. That means so much to me. So this is a lot more of an intensive exercise. We did a lot more tonight than some of the other trainings I've done where there's a guided visualization. But like I said, there's definitely this work that we do with spirit and intuition. It's so important to be in relationship to the raw parts of us, to our human self, to our emotions, to the moments that were hard for us, because we become the alchemists of our life and we become the ambassadors for this work. And so the only way we can really do that is by being in 100% relationship to that and knowing what that feels like, and then noticing how it changes over time, because it will change. These stories that you have now may not necessarily be stories you're going to have 6 months from now, or even a year from now, or a week from now. So very interesting noticing that as you have a healthy relationship to these feelings, you'll also begin to have a completely different relationship to life, and then your gifts will just really blossom. You'll notice the accuracy of your readings, the accuracy of working spirit is mind-blowingly changing, profound. I felt clearly all the things I knew that were my joy, and then I was denying it over and over because I didn't trust other people to get it or to not hurt me for being me. It feels so clear now, and this was really great. Oh, good. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that with me. What an honor. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to know that I could serve you with this information tonight, and that it has made an impact in your world and in your life. So take these gifts, take this and really just allow yourself to feel it, to ground into it tonight. Do something loving for yourself. So after all this, because a lot of you guys have so much, a lot of people are sharing that they released a lot of sadness and grief and difficulty. Liberated, peace, and acknowledgement and honor to myself. A lot of tears, a lot of emotion. This was really great. always said, please free me. And when you said it, opened me up so much. Yes. So tonight, please, or the next 24 hours, do something super, super loving for yourself. So buy yourself something, make yourself an extremely yummy meal, take yourself out to dinner, whatever feels loving to you. Maybe it's Netflix and chilling in your bed and turning off your phone. Love yourself up. Write yourself a love letter tonight. And just tell yourself how much you're worth it, how much you're worth it. Go look at yourself in the mirror and blow yourself a kiss, whatever feels good for you. And I'm being serious about that because I do that sometimes. So flatter yourself, truly flatter yourself, make yourself feel super extra loved, super extra adored, and do it for that little child in you, that little part of you that wants that. And so hug yourself super tight and just know that you are worth it and that you have so much to give this world, and that I am super honored to be a part of your journey, even if it's for a webinar, because I know that there'll be something you'll take away from this that will impact you for the rest of your life. So I want to thank you so much for watching. It was an honor to be with you tonight. And if you have